Whoops. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having a terrific day. This is Shelly Bates here. I am the owner of Matas and More. I am also a creative wellness strategist, and I'm back on today. I hope you guys are having a terrific day. I'm back on because this Manna Mindset is getting me. So I want to take a couple minutes to talk about the manifestation of the Manna Mindset. Like, where did that start? Where did that all begin? So when you look at the children of Israel, right, and I know you all know the story, right, but think about it. They were, when the first Pharaoh was there, right, the Pharaoh knew about the promise of the children of Israel, and they weren't oppressed. It wasn't until this new king came along, this new Pharaoh came along and didn't know about the history of the children of Israel, and so he began to oppress them, right? And so the children of Israel did not always have that manna mindset. But what happened is Pharaoh, this new Pharaoh, he came in and he began to oppress them. He oppressed them two ways. He oppressed them by his words, right? He oppressed them by his words, and he also oppressed them by works. He commanded them to make, to use the mud and the straw and blah, 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 to make all the stuff, right? But he oppressed them by those two ways. And that the consistency of that caused their mindset to start to shift. Okay, and it's what we call a schema, right? So when you have a belief system, you have something that is constant over and over and over and over and over and over. It develops into a belief system, which develops into a schema, which is almost like becomes the core of how you think and operate and what you think about. Hey, Chiquita, how are you? Good morning. So, hope you're having a terrific day today. So, I'm talking about the children of Israel here. This is just really, really getting me here. So that's how Pharaoh oppressed them. He oppressed them by his words, and he oppressed them by their works, right? By the works. Those are the two things. So now let's look at how God delivered them, how he started that deliverance process. He started first by counteracting the words that Pharaoh, good morning, Chiquita, he counteracted the words that had been spoken by this new Pharaoh. He told Moses, hey, you need to go and tell the people that the Lord is going to deliver them out of the hands of Pharaoh. So he came back the same way that Pharaoh came at them. He attacked the words that had created this schema in the minds of the children of Israel and from the oppression. Okay, you tracking with me? Okay. So then when you look at the miracles that were performed, then God began to deal with the work part of it by showing the children of Israel, allowing them to witness and see these works that was the process of breaking them out of Egypt, but not just out of Egypt, but check this out. Is it possible that they missed it? Because he was doing the work. God was using Moses to do the work of deliverance. Selah, pause, like they missed it. They got the word of deliverance. In other words, I'm going to deliver you out of the hands of Pharaoh. And I'm going to take you to a land that's flowing with milk and honey. This is your deliverance. This is the deliverance process. I'm going to perform miracles. I'm going to do the work through Moses, and you're going to see the deliverance. So did they overlook that part? And because they overlooked that, is that why? Or could that be one of the reasons why, once they left Egypt, they still had that manna mindset? I don't know. It's definitely something to think about. What do you think, Chiquita? Because, as I'm thinking about how how God brings change, right? So in other words, I believe that we have a responsibility, and I think I talked a little bit about that yesterday. We have a responsibility. We have to do the work also. There are things that we have to do. We have to renew our mind to the mind of Christ. Well, that's a work, right? When we are renewing our mind, we are changing our belief system. We are changing that negative schema that has attached itself because of old patterns. So there is a work that we have to do. And when I think back at the process of the children of Israel, they didn't do the work. They didn't do the work. Maybe they didn't want to do the work. I don't know. But I'm just saying, hey, Michael, how are you? Blessings. God bless you, sir. So, just to recap here real quick, Michael, what I'm talking about is I'm looking at the children of Israel and talking about this manna mindset. And if you didn't catch that, go back to my post yesterday, my video yesterday, and watch that first, because I was talking about the manna mindset and how that mindset keeps us stuck, and how the children of Israel, yes, they were getting that daily provision from God, but could it be the reason why they were getting that daily provision is because they couldn't think beyond their nose. They couldn't see the future. They couldn't see the promise that God had promised, the promise that God promised them, right? Okay, so, let's see here. I'm trying to, absolutely, they missed it. The tragedy of their past was allowed to stay a part of their identity instead of accepting who the Lord had called them to be. Yes. Exactly, Chiquita. And that's what happens to us. We do the same thing. We have, that's my testimony, right? That's what happened to me. And so I know that I'm not the only one. I mean, there was a whole nation of people who were allowing the tragedy of their past to become a part of their identity. And that's what happens. And that's how the enemy gets us. That's how he gets us. He takes our past and we circle around that camp, if you will. We circle around it, we circle around it, we circle around it, and then it becomes our identity because it has become a part of our belief system and our schema. It becomes who we are, but it's not who we are. It's not who we are. So you're absolutely right. Amen, Chiquita. How you doing, Pastor Bobby Jones? God bless you. So, okay, so let me circle back around to the title, and then I'm gonna close out and get on out of here. So why is it important that we look at how this stuff manifested? We have to. Good morning. We have to look at how it manifested, because that's how we break the cycle of that seed that was planted inside of us by our circumstances. We all have circumstances. We all have situations. We're all going to have trials, tests, and tribulations, right? I think it's interesting that, the children of Israel weren't always like that. They were a blessed people, right? So what happened that they lost sight of their identity? Because they were a blessed people. They were growing. They were prosperous. And that's what was freaking Pharaoh out. This new Pharaoh out. He's like, man, check this out. These people are blessed. Right? So yes, break the cycles. Yes, Chiquita, we need to break those cycles. And Absolutely. Break the cycles, right? And so the challenge with the children of Israel breaking the cycles was that, look at the tribe, the whole nation. It was just, what, like Moses and Aaron, right? Those were the only two people. There may have been some more in there, but when you think about that process, who did they have to support them? Who did they have to help them break out of that cycle? Because when one of them started to complain, the Bible doesn't say one person complained. He said the children of Israel. So they all were birds of a feather flock together, right? Birds of a feather flock together. Let's see here. They stayed too long. Chiquita says they stayed too long in the old wineskin of comfort and familiarity. Yes. And there was only one or two people, Moses, to break them out of that. But guess what? They still had to make a decision to break out of that. They had to make a decision. That's why I'm saying maybe they didn't want to do the work, right? Maybe they didn't know how to do the work. I don't know. But what I do know is that we have a responsibility. We can choose to get out of that. As the Bible says, come out from among them and be ye separate. Maybe that's what they needed to do, right? Maybe they needed to flock more towards Moses and sit up underneath him and so that they can get, their deliverance, mentally and physically and spiritually and all that stuff. So, all right, so let me wrap this up here because I'm at my location, my locale, right? So pay attention to the manifestation of this. Where did your Pharaoh come in? Where did he come from? What caused your belief system, how you see yourselves? What caused that to change? Where did it manifest? Identify where it manifested, right? Was it something? Did something happen? Was it a works thing? Right? Because it can come from what you see, what you hear, what you experience, right? Because think about the children of Israel. And tomorrow I'm going to come on and I'm going to talk about the woman who was running out of the meal and the oil. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, because I'm not going to give it away, but I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, right? Because I want to stay along this thread of this mindset, this manna mindset, but I don't want to stay in that. I want to be able to come on and talk about the different ways that God meets us where we are to bring the deliverance, so that we can identify when God is delivering us, so that we can put in our work, do the work, so that we can walk out of that Pharaoh mindset and into our destiny. Okay, so I think that was it. I think that was all I wanted to say. But anyway, I pray that this blessed you. Okay, so pay attention to what you're thinking. Pay attention to those thoughts, that mindset, right? Come out that old wineskin of comfort and familiarity, like Chiquita says, right? Identify that, look for that, come out of it, and then look to see how God is bringing your deliverance. Because see, the children of Israel, it was to two things. He spoke the word. He began to use Moses to speak those words over them to counteract what Pharaoh had planted, the seed that Pharaoh had planted. And then he did the works. He used Moses to do the works so that they could see the deliverance. But the third thing is, we got to do the work. There's a work that we have to do. We have to work out our soul salvation. So we have to do something. So God could be, think about it, God could be bringing things in for our deliverance, and we don't even know it because we haven't identified the source of the manifestation. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So pay attention to that. Okay. All right. Gotta go. I pray that this blessed you. Again, my name is Shelly Bates. I am the owner of MatazandMore.com. I am a creative wellness strategist. I help people to find wholeness, to achieve wholeness mentally, spiritually, physically, because they are connected mentally, physically, spiritually, right? And we want to be whole, as the Bible says, spirit, soul, and body. All right. So I pray that you have a terrific day, and I'll chat at you later. Thank you, Chiquita. I'm glad it blessed you. Share it with somebody. Share it on your timeline. Comment, right? If you have something you want to share also, I would love to have a dialogue about this. This has definitely been helping me. I am always a first partaker of what God gives me. And so when I get it, and it's just so good to me, and I'm like, it's so good, God. Thank you. I just want to share it. So I'm sharing it with you. So, all right, y'all have a blessed day, and I'll chat at you later. Bye.